Have you ever wondered why, even after a sleepless night, your body and mind seem to be begging for rest? Maybe you're here because you feel like something is missing in your sleep routine. Whether it's difficulty falling asleep, being too tired during the day, or even constantly dissatisfied with your energy. The truth is that sleep plays a crucial, often underestimated, role in human health and well-being. Think about it. How many times have you skipped sleep to take care of pending tasks, study for tests, work late, or even watch that must-see series? Don't worry, we're not here to judge you. This behavior is more common than we think. We live in a society that values productivity and speed above all else, and this leads us to sacrifice one of the fundamental pillars of health: sleep. But is sleep just a break to recharge our batteries? Or is there something deeper happening in our body and brain while we rest? Today, we're going to explore not only how many hours of sleep you really need, but also what happens to the body when this time is insufficient. We'll dive into the science, understand the problems that sleep deprivation causes, and most importantly, show you why respecting your sleep is actually an act of self-love. Stay tuned to the end, because in addition to discovering the impact of sleep deprivation, you'll also gain insight into how small changes can transform your quality of life. Now, imagine what happens when you deprive your body of this vital period of rest. Can 1 or 2 hours less per night really make that much of a difference? Before answering, we'll explore in depth, based on science and rigorous studies, what it means to deprive yourself of sleep and why it can be one of the most detrimental decisions for your long-term health. Why is sleep essential? To understand the impact of sleep deprivation, we first need to understand its function. Sleep is as essential as eating and drinking. It regulates almost every process in the human body, from brain function to muscle recovery, from immunity to emotional balance. According to the National Sleep Foundation, adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night to maintain their biological functions and balance. But in practice, most of us sleep much less than we should. How many hours have you slept in the last few nights? If it was less than 7 hours, know that you are not alone. Data from the World Health Organization (WHO) indicate that around 40% of the world's population sleeps less than necessary. The cost of modernity. Why are we sleeping less? It is not just the biological clock that is at stake. Sleep deprivation is often the result of choices we make in our routine. Blue light from electronic devices, work stress, and the desire to gain more time by sacrificing hours of sleep have shaped our modern society. A study conducted by Harvard Medical School revealed that prolonged exposure to blue light can delay the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. In other words, those extra hours on your cell phone at night may be robbing you of your ability to fall asleep naturally. How many times have you thought, just one more episode of the series, then I'll sleep? Or, I'll finish this project and make up for it tomorrow? These seemingly harmless little decisions add up to a sleep debt that the body can't always pay off. Let's do a little exercise. Think about the day you got too little sleep. How did you feel when you woke up? You may have noticed difficulty concentrating, bad mood or irritability, uncontrollable cravings for coffee or sweets. These symptoms are just the tip of the iceberg. Studies conducted by the Sleep Research Society show that even a single night of sleep deprivation can reduce your ability to concentrate by up to 30%. Have you ever thought about how this affects your productivity at work or in your studies? And it doesn't stop there. Lack of sleep not only impacts your daily performance, but also your long-term health. Research shows that poor nights of sleep are associated with a series of health problems, including obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. What do studies say about sleep deprivation? To illustrate the impact of sleep deprivation on the body, I will share some impressive data from scientific research. Increased risk of infections. A study published in the Journal of Immunology showed that sleeping less than 6 hours a night reduces by half the production of T cells, which are essential for fighting infections. Mental health impairment. Chronic sleep deprivation is directly linked to an increase in disorders such as anxiety and depression. According to the American Psychological Association, those who sleep less than 5 hours a night are 70% more likely to develop depression over the course of their lives. Effects on metabolism. Sleep deprivation affects hunger hormones, such as ghrelin and leptin. This can lead to weight gain of up to 1.5 kilograms per month, even without significant changes in diet, as reported in the study in the International Journal of Obesity. Question for you to think about. Can you see any relationship between poor nights of sleep and a greater appetite the next day? Why should you be concerned? Sleep deprivation is not a problem that can be solved with a compensatory nap. Chronic sleep deprivation has cumulative effects on the body, affecting vital organs and accelerating degenerative processes. Invisible but serious impacts. According to the European Heart Journal, sleep deprivation increases the risk of cardiovascular disease by 60%. A study by the National Cancer Institute found that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night have a 40% higher risk of developing certain types of cancer, especially those associated with the immune system. Are you listening to your body's signals? If your body could talk, what would it tell you right now about your sleep routine? It may be trying to send you subtle signals, such as increased frequency of colds or infections, difficulty waking up even after several hours of sleep, constantly feeling tired even on the weekends. The science is clear. These are not just minor side effects. They are warnings that your body is overworked and needs rest. The impact of sleep deprivation. What happens to the body? Sleep deprivation, characterized by the partial or total reduction of the time needed for rest, has been the subject of extensive scientific research due to its profound and widespread effects on practically all systems of the human body. Let's delve deeper into the impacts on different areas of the body based on scientific evidence. Effects on the brain and central nervous system. Sleep is vital for the proper functioning of the central nervous system, which acts as the body's central command. Sleep deprivation significantly disrupts neuronal communication and affects several cognitive and emotional functions. Cognitive decline and impaired memory. Studies conducted by the Sleep and Memory Laboratory at the University of Chicago show that lack of sleep impairs memory consolidation, a process that occurs mainly during deep sleep and REM sleep. During sleep deprivation, there is a reduction in the ability to form long-term memories. Retention of information learned the previous day decreases. The brain exhibits reduced activity in the hippocampus, the region associated with memory formation, decision-making, and impulsivity. Sleep deprivation affects the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision-making and emotional control. Studies published in the Journal of Neuroscience reveal that after just 24 hours of sleep deprivation, people show greater propensity to make risky decisions, difficulty assessing long-term consequences, increased impulsive behavior, development of psychiatric disorders. Chronic sleep deprivation is directly linked to an increased risk of psychiatric disorders, such as anxiety and depression. Research conducted at Harvard Medical School's Division of Sleep Medicine shows that lack of sleep amplifies the activity of the amygdala, a brain structure involved in processing negative emotions. Risk of neurodegeneration. Longitudinal studies conducted by the National Institute on Aging indicate that chronic sleep deprivation increases the formation of beta-amyloid plaques in the brain, a key marker of Alzheimer's disease. Cardiovascular system. A heart at risk. Adequate sleep regulates the cardiovascular system, allowing the heart and blood vessels to rest and recover. Sleep deprivation, however, disrupts these processes and increases the risk of high blood pressure. During deep sleep, blood pressure decreases, reducing stress on the cardiovascular system. With sleep deprivation, this rest does not occur. Studies published in the Journal of Hypertension show that people who sleep less than 6 hours a night have a 20% higher risk of developing high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Research from the American Heart Association indicates that prolonged sleep deprivation is associated with increased arterial stiffness, contributing to atherosclerosis, changes in cortisol levels, increasing inflammation in the cardiovascular system. 60% higher risk of heart attack in individuals who consistently sleep less than 5 hours a night. Cardiac arrhythmias. Sleep regulates the heart's natural rhythms. Studies by the Sleep Research Society show that lack of sleep increases the occurrence of arrhythmias, such as atrial fibrillation. Immune system. Compromised defense. The immune system depends on sleep for its regeneration and effective functioning. Sleep deprivation suppresses the body's defense mechanisms, leaving it more vulnerable to infections and diseases. Reduction in immune cells. Research published in the Sleep Journal shows that a single night of sleep deprivation reduces the activity of natural killer NK cells, responsible for destroying cells infected by viruses and cancer cells, by up to 70%. Increased inflammation. Sleep deprivation stimulates the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, such as interleukin-6, IL-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF-alpha. This causes chronic inflammation, associated with conditions such as arthritis, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Vulnerability to infections. Research from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) shows that sleep-deprived individuals are twice as likely to contract the common cold and flu due to reduced antibody production after exposure to viruses. Metabolism and weight control. Sleep plays an essential role in metabolic regulation, and lack of sleep contributes to hormonal imbalances that lead to weight gain and metabolic diseases. Imbalance of hunger hormones. Lack of sleep increases levels of ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates appetite, and reduces leptin, which is responsible for signaling satiety. As a result, there is increased consumption of calories, especially foods rich in carbohydrates and fats. Insulin resistance. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism indicates that sleep deprivation reduces insulin sensitivity, leading to high blood glucose levels and an increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Obesity and metabolic syndrome. Studies from the National Institutes of Health show that sleeping less than 6 hours a night increases the risk of developing obesity by 45% and the risk of metabolic syndrome by 35%. Hormonal and reproductive health. Sleep plays a crucial role in regulating hormones, including those related to reproduction and growth. Reduced sex hormones. Research published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine indicates that sleep deprivation reduces testosterone levels in men and estrogen in women, leading to reduced libido, fertility problems, decreased sperm quality, altered growth hormone GH, which is crucial for cell regeneration and metabolism, is produced primarily during deep sleep. Chronic sleep deprivation reduces its release, impacting growth in children and muscle repair in adults. Impacts on longevity. Sleep deprivation can literally shorten your life. Long-term cohort studies, such as the Whitehall 2 study, show that people who consistently sleep less than 6 hours a night have a significantly higher mortality rate, attributed to cardiovascular disease, cancer, and other problems related to insufficient sleep. After all that we've explored, I want you to stop for a moment and reflect. How many times in the past few months have you prioritized sleep? How many times have you chosen to watch that extra episode, work late, or spend hours on your phone, believing that you could make up for sleep on the weekend? If you've identified with any of these situations, you're not alone. But after learning about the profound impacts of sleep deprivation on the body and mind, I hope you'll see sleep in a new light, not as a negotiable, but as a vital necessity for your health and quality of life. Getting a good night's sleep is more than just resting. It's about survival. Sleep isn't just a detail of your daily routine. It's the foundation upon which all of your body's functions are balanced. Remember the scientific data we presented? The brain, for example, needs sleep to process information, consolidate memories, and maintain its cognitive capacity. Think of your brain as a superpowered computer. If you don't give it time to reset, it starts to crash, its functions slow down, and eventually it can fail catastrophically. Do you feel the signs of sleep deprivation? Back to the question I asked at the beginning. How do you feel after a bad night's sleep? Tired? Bad mood? Difficulty concentrating? These signs may seem small, but they hide bigger problems. Scientific studies have shown that a single night of sleep deprivation reduces the immune system's ability to fight infections by up to 70%. This means that while you deprive yourself of sleep to buy time, you are compromising your health in a silent and cumulative way. Ask yourself, can you see how these small negligences are affecting your life? How is your energy, your patience, your productivity at work, or even your relationships? The invisible dangers of sleep debt. Sleep deprivation is insidious. It doesn't just manifest itself in visible signs, like dark circles under your eyes or extreme fatigue. Its most devastating impacts occur invisibly, behind the scenes in the body. In the heart, sleep regulates blood pressure and keeps the heart healthy. Lack of sleep, as we've seen, significantly increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. Think about it. How many nights of poor sleep are you accumulating, putting your heart at risk? In the brain, sleep deprivation not only impairs memory, but also increases the risk of neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's. Each night of lost sleep is like erasing important information from a hard drive that will never be recovered. In metabolic health, sleep controls essential hormones, such as leptin and ghrelin, which regulate appetite. When you don't get enough sleep, your body craves more food, usually less healthy foods. That's why poor sleep can be directly linked to weight gain and the development of type 2 diabetes. Now, think about how many areas of your life are impacted by these factors. Is it limiting you? Is it robbing you of your health? What if you continue to ignore sleep? If you think you can continue to neglect your sleep without paying a high price, let's review some alarming facts. People who sleep less than 6 hours a night have a 60% higher risk of developing heart disease. Chronic sleep deprivation reduces life expectancy by up to 12%, according to studies by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine. In the long term, sleep deprivation is directly linked to depression, anxiety, metabolic problems, and even cancer. Are you really willing to pay that price? Is it worth compromising your physical and mental health for a few extra hours of work or entertainment? How can you change your relationship with sleep? Now, I want you to do a simple but powerful exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine what your life would be like if you woke up every day with energy, mental clarity, and the will to face any challenge. Imagine yourself happier, healthier, more productive. This scenario is not an impossible dream. It starts with a decision to prioritize sleep. What steps can you take today to improve your sleep routine? Maybe turn off your electronic devices an hour before bed. Or create a darker, quieter environment in your bedroom. Or even establish a regular bedtime. Small changes can have a transformative impact. Getting a good night's sleep is an act of self-care. Prioritizing sleep is not an act of selfishness or weakness. It is a commitment to your health and your future. Every good night's sleep is an investment in your longevity, well-being, and happiness. Think about it. If you don't prioritize your health, who will? And how can you take care of others, family, friends, work, if you don't take care of yourself first? Make sleep your priority. Sleep deprivation isn't just an individual problem, it's a collective challenge. We live in a society that values productivity above all else, often at the expense of health. But it's time to change that narrative. It's time to ask yourself, how can I be the best version of myself? And the answer starts with a good night's sleep. Remember, sleep is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's as essential as breathing or eating. So, why not start treating sleep with the importance it deserves today? Your body, your mind, and your entire life will thank you. Are you ready to make that change? Let's start together, giving sleep the space it deserves in our lives. After all, your health is at stake, and that's not something worth risking.